Hey, Brother Dave here. Brother Dave's Hillbilly Homestead. Yeah, that's me, the beardless wonder. Yeah, we shave the beard in the summertime because, man, I just can't stand it when it gets hot and I get sweaty and itchy. But it's been a rather cool summer so far. With the volcanoes popping off in the Pacific and the wildfires up in Canada, it's kind of keeping the sun down a little bit. But that's actually not too bad for my garden. It's been a while since I showed you guys a video. I'm sorry, I was seemed a little lax maybe in keeping you guys updated, but I had a tooth infection and that slowed me down. But thank God I found an angel in Louisville, was able to hook me up with a doctor to do an extraction. So we're back in business. So let me show you where the garden is. It's looking pretty good. And there's Guppy. Guppy, you're in a video again. Good girl. All right. Well, here we are. Now, last time you guys saw this, it was I had just done most of the transplanting. And we've got about 7,500 square feet of this garden planted. And what's really miraculous about this whole thing is that last year, 50% of this garden looked like what you see in front of you. Nothing but rocks. Yeah, basically, I took a parking lot, an old logging parking lot, and I've turned it into a garden. And it's working pretty well. Let's go around and take a look at a few things here. So what's doing good and what's doing not. The tomatoes are doing so-so, and that's because tomatoes like a more acidic soil. So I might have to do something next year to help my tomatoes out, and the peppers as well. They like more acidic soil. And the thing about all these rocks out here, that's limestone. And so all that limestone, little chips and bits of limestone that were mixed in with the soil here, keep it very alkaline, which most plants like. The exception being tomatoes and peppers, of course. Now our herb garden is booming. Got our peppermint, lots of thyme. The basil is doing okay. We've got some hyssop right there. And up in there with the little yellow flowers, that is black cumin, which is a really cool thing to have. We got a bunch of Greek oregano in here, and I got to get in there and pull some weeds. Thyme. You can see that I've extended the use of grass clippings all over the place. I found that the grass clippings do a much better job of suppressing weeds than the sawdust did. And I can plow this stuff in next year. It'll be completely decomposed, won't rob the soil of nitrogen the way that problem I ran into over there. And I did put a little nitrogen fertilizer in with those plants that were turning yellow. Cabbages are looking cabbagey. Bacon rotund. Yeah, they're getting there. They're getting there. There's maybe a couple of them I could harvest right now if I had a mind to, but today's harvest is going to be cauliflower. We've got some huge cauliflower heads going here. So that one's going to come out. That one's going to come out. Oh, that one's starting to bolt. I need to get it out of here real quick. And I came in here and I tied some rubber bands around some of these so they wouldn't bolt as fast. That is just a huge head of cauliflower. And another one over there. Quite a few. I'll get about 5 or 6 heads of cauliflower today. We'll get some of that in the freezer. And the broccoli is just booming. It's not forming heads yet. So I'm kind of wondering what's going on with the broccoli. It might pretty soon form some really massive broccoli heads. We'll see. We'll get some photos of that if that happens. Kale is doing swell, splendidly. We've harvested 3 or 4 times from the kale and got 20 or 30 quart-sized bags of kale in the freezer for the wintertime. Brussels sprouts are doing good, and they're starting to form little bitty, I don't know if you can see them, little bitty Brussels sprouts at the edges there. All right, let's get across here without compressing the beds. All right. Our spinach is forming lots of spinach seeds. We'll have the spinach seed for next year and spinach seed to sprout in the middle of winter. Swiss chard, excellent. More celery, parsley, 3 different kinds of thyme, more oregano, rosemary, all doing good. Cinnamon, basil. The dill through the roof growing, and we harvested so much dill I don't have to harvest it anymore, but we'll get a bunch of dill seed out of this as well. Now I can step right here because the frost did kill my first attempt at basil. And we've got the stinging nettle here, and it's the stingiest kind of nettle. I have not harvested any of it yet, but it is growing well. Comfrey's doing good. Calendula is doing great. Milk thistle beyond that, fantastic. That's the milk thistle. That's the calendula. Over beyond that, in between, that's cilantro. In between the cilantro and the milk thistle is catnip. So we got a lot of that going. Now let's look over here at our summer squash. Ooh, we got some summer squash ready to harvest. Yellow crookneck. And looking in here, let's see, we got some zucchini somewhere. We had harvested a massive zucchini yesterday. Made a delicious vegetable soup last night. There's some zucchini. I got a whole bunch of those, and I'd like to get those zucchini when they're about that size or smaller, because I want to try pickling zucchini this year. All right. Now you notice the plants do less and less well as they move down in this direction, because it just gets really highly alkaline as we get into more of these stones. And I'll probably spend some time in August and September pulling more of this limestone out of here, adding more organic material, and getting it closer to just the right mix. Now our potatoes that came up in here, well, they're a good green color. They don't seem to mind where they are in the sawdust. We added a little nitrogen fertilizer to these 3 or 4 butternut squashes that weren't doing too well at first, but the other butternut squashes, they are, and it's just like I said it was going to happen. They just took over in here, and you can't even see the sawdust anymore. And we're getting some pretty good size butternut squash getting started. There's one right there. Another one right there. This stuff, by September, I expect this stuff to pretty much have taken over this entire area. You won't even be able to walk through it without stepping on vines. And we do have some pepitas. Pepitas are pumpkins that have seeds without shells, and so you just harvest your pumpkin seed and it's ready to eat when you dehydrate it. And we got one going right there. Cucumbers are doing good. We're getting a daily harvest of cucumbers. That's one good one right there, and that yellow one right there I'm leaving because I want the seeds from that. If you want to save your squash, summer squash, cucumber, same thing. You need to let them get as big as they possibly can. They will change colors, and when they start to go soft on the vine, finally, that's when you want to harvest them for the seeds. All right. Now, I had a volunteer come up over here in the middle of the melons. Looks like we've got a summer squash. I'm not sure which kind, but our honeydew and cantaloupe is doing splendidly, looking healthy, and they're putting on some teeny tiny little melons, watermelons. Well, there's a pea plant right there, go figure. Watermelons, they are doing about as well as I expected the watermelons to do this time of year. They won't really start popping till about July. They'll start putting on some melons. And by the end of August, September, we'll be harvesting a whole bunch. And we put in a bunch of artichokes, actual artichokes, not Jerusalem artichokes, right in here in this whole section of almost 25 of them. And that's a little baby artichoke right there. I don't know how well they're going to do. It's a long season crop, so we'll see what happens there. Got our parsnips coming up over here, and a volunteer melon in there. Okay, we'll have to take that out because it will take over. Bees are doing good. We couldn't get the beans to sprout this year. I don't know why. And I got something that's getting in the garden here and rooting around the way that a pig would root around. I think it's a possum because we don't have wild pigs around here, unless my neighbor's pigs are getting away, in which case I might have to harvest me a pig. I don't know. We'll see. The peas are doing well. We got the golden peas on this side that grow really tall and get lots of peas. We got the regular green snap peas over there. Now, what I'm really happy about is the corn is finally coming up, and it's coming up everywhere that I planted it. Fantastic, but I had to plant it a second time. I didn't realize it, but the first time I planted my corn, within 2 days, we had a major inundation where it rained so hard that it compacted the soil around the seeds. And when I talked to my farmer friend, he said, oh yeah, that's a bad thing, because if there's no air pockets or oxygen around your corn seeds when they go to germinate, they'll be smothered and they'll die. And sure enough, not a single seed of corn came up after I planted. So I planted by June the 15th, replanted by June the 15th, kept it watered. Within a week, everything came up. So I'm really, really happy about that. Got a very healthy epizote there. And what is this bad boy here? He's got a label somewhere. Oh, bee balm. Oh yeah, good. The bee balm's doing good. We planted some old mustard seeds in here. They didn't come up, and that's it's just about the only thing that failed. Where I'm not gonna bother with that. We'll throw some grass mulch on it to keep the weeds down. Radishes are doing great, and I'm gonna harvest a few radishes. I don't really like the radishes so much, but what I like is to let the radishes go to seed, and then I use that seed in the wintertime to make sprouts, and radish sprouts are delicious. We got more onions going here, more corn there. Let's get up around here and take a look. Yeah, it's time to do a little maintenance on this fence here. That flower there, that's Ipomea, and that is a wild yam. I bet if I dug some holes in the ground, I'd find some wild yams. But our beets that we sprouted in the greenhouse and planted, they are doing real good. Leeks doing excellent. Green onions, fantastic. We can start harvesting green onions anytime now. So there's the green onions. And the red onions on the other side are doing pretty well too. Now here's the beets we planted by seed. And I tried it 2 different ways. I tried the beets that come on a tape where they're perfectly spaced and you just put the whole tape under the ground, but they hardly sprouted at all. Didn't have much luck. I had better luck just kind of broadcasting and slightly throwing a little dirt over the top of it, and they came up fantastically. In fact, I'll have to get in there and start thinning. Get some beet greens for myself. Carrots, pretty good. We used a broadcast method, just kind of sprinkling them around, and it looks like we got a fairly good distribution. And we'll end up with a couple hundred carrots anyway. Sunflowers, doing great. Even got one small sunflower over there. I don't know if that's like 1/10 the size that these sunflowers are supposed to get. We'll see how they do. There's more corn. And of course the Jerusalem artichokes are doing what Jerusalem artichokes do. They grow like weeds, And that's our substitute crop for potatoes, and kind of an emergency insurance against famine, basically. That's what those Jerusalem artichokes are. Nothing will kill them. The winter won't kill them. They'll come back year after year after year, and they produce hundreds of pounds of edible tubers that have a nutritional profile very close to potatoes, with the exception that they actually have more vitamin C than potatoes. Now, one thing I do, yeah, that's right, I said do. One thing I also do is as I'm going through my garden and pulling weeds, if I see weeds that are edible and highly nutritious, like these lamb's quarters right here, I'll let them go. So I'm gonna let these lamb's quarters go, come out here, harvest some of them to eat, but primarily what I want from this one lamb's quarters plant is a whole bunch of lamb's quarters seeds, so I can plant a bed of nothing but lamb's quarters next year. It's as nutritious as spinach, if not more so, and it grows all summer long. All right, well, it's time for me to get going here and harvest those cauliflower heads. The harvesting's real simple. I just go in with a pair of pruning shears and cut them at the base, take them up to the kitchen, and I'll break them up and blanch them and freeze them. Unfortunately, my freeze dryer isn't working, so I can't freeze dry anything. We're working on that though. Hopefully we'll get her done. What do you think, Guppy? Is it time to get to work, baby? Do you want a cookie? No, you know I'm kidding. All right. God bless y'all. God loves you. I love you. You know Guppy loves everyone. Bye now.